You're watching The Experience, Comic Culture and Sales, streaming live daily to Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter.
And now for more about the happenings going on in the world, let's turn to Tubi, who single-handedly ruined the Super Bowl for millions and millions of people. I don't know if anybody's going to get that joke, but I swear to God, it was the worst ad I've ever seen in my life. And we're going to talk more about that, and we're going to make fun of the French. That's what I've decided we're doing on today's show. This is Hot Takes. I am producer Kyle. Welcome in to the show. We're going to talk about a lot of stuff tonight. We're going to get your opinions, or you're going to be able to call in and talk to me. It's like real live radio, except on television or your computer or your phone or wherever the hell you watch us from. So stay tuned. Keep watching. This is Hot Takes. Welcome in, everybody. Welcome to Hot Takes. I am producer Kyle. Shout out to Andrew Stanton for that song, The Emerald Weekend. That is our theme song. It has been my theme song for years. Welcome in. We're going to talk about Super Bowl ads. We're going to make fun of the French. We're going to do a whole bunch of stuff today. But I want to mention something right off the bat. After we went off the air last week, we learned about a good friend of mine and the experience, Jerry the King Lawler. Having suffered a stroke last week. Yesterday, here on The Experience, we reran the interview I did with him a couple of years ago, right when we started, a little over a year ago now, or a little over 2 years ago now, where I sat down and talked to the King. And our thoughts and prayers are with him as he recuperates. Updates seem to be he's doing well. Just shout out to the King. If you haven't watched that interview, go back and watch it. He shows me his Batmobile, and that's not a euphemism. You would think it is, but it's not. The man owns a Batmobile. And not like the crappy Batmobile that was in like the Batman movie, like the good Batmobile designed by George Barris from the 66 TV show. We're going to talk about that coming up too. There are only two good Batmobiles. See if you can figure out which ones they are. But let's get started. First of all, what did you think of the Super Bowl? What did you think of the ads? What did you think of the goings on over there? You can give a call on the show. You can talk to me. 567-318-6507. 567-318-6507. But before you call that number, there's another number I want you to call. Jay, we're going to do this. I'm going to do it this way. One of the ads on last night's Super Bowl had an Easter egg that most folks missed. And it was this.
Thank you for calling Super Mario Brothers Plumbing. It's me, Luigi. If you need service, please text us at the same number. You just call 92955 That's 929-556-2746. Message us about any issues wherever you live. House, condo, mansion? And we'll be sure to text you back right away, because at Super Mario Brothers Plumbing, we don't say, let's wait. We say, let's go. Oh, and check our website, smvplumbing.com. We're still working on it, so more updates to come. Bye-bye.
If you would have told 8-year-old Kyle that someday there would be a Super Bowl ad that would lead to him calling the Super Mario Brothers Plumbing Company, and that there would be a thing on the other end that sent him to send a text message to the Super Mario Brothers Plumbing Company, and that he would have spent the whole Monday following the Super Bowl texting with the Super Mario Brothers Plumbing Company, he'd have told you were a moron. But that's exactly what happened to me today. So the Super Bowl ads were super solid, including the Easter egg filled ads for the Super Mario Brothers movie. So if you text or call 929-556-2746, you get the Super Mario Brothers Plumbing Company. If you text it, they'll like talk to you. You can join what's called Community, which is an app that brands use to text their followers. Celebrities use it. Ashton Kutcher uses it to text with his fans. It's really this fun little app. Flowbots use it. I know several other people. So that was super fun. But did you have a favorite Super Bowl commercial last night? Was there a commercial you watched, or was there an announcement that was made during the game that you were particularly interested in? Was there one you liked? Was there one you disliked? I'm going to tell you, I think Tubi cost itself a lot of subscribers. I think the misdirected ad was a good idea in practice, but when you consider how much people had gambled on the game, when you consider how invested the fan bases were on that game, to have an ad that's disguised as a game break and then make everybody think that somebody sat on the remote or that their TV was malfunctioning, it's just a bad idea. What do you think? 567-318-6507, 567-318-6507. Give me a call. Tell me what you think. Other great ads, though, that happened during the Super Bowl. There was a great ad for Blue Moon. Who would have thought Blue Moon would have good ads? And you had good ads for Michelob Light, Michelob Ultra, the Caddyshack parodies. So many pop culture parodies. Paramount Plus had an ad that was just a cliffhanger joke. By the way, the three girls in that ad, did you see that ad? The Paramount Plus ad? The three girls in that ad are Sylvester Stallone's daughters. Are you kidding me? 3 women that hot came from that dude? I'm sure when they talk, it makes you want to bang your head against the wall like when he talks, but still. That whole commercial was just a giant cliffhanger commercial. They had so many parodies and references last night during the game that I thought were very interesting and very good for advertising. So let me know what you thought about that. But there were some announcements. There were some trailers and stuff that I didn't see, but it's kind of hard to ignore them on the internet. Which is to say that there are only 2 good Batmobiles. One of them showed up in a Super Bowl ad, and one of them was created by George Barris in 1966. That's right. We got in the Flashpoint ad, we got the Batmobile from Tim Burton's Batman. The car that single-handedly made me fall in love with Batman. Such a cool car. Now, having read Batman Damned and seen that car, I now know what Batman was compensating for. But at the same time, like, to see that car and to see Michael Keaton as Batman and to see, all of this kind of stuff come together in this, what is clearly a Flashpoint movie, was a very interesting thing to see in a Super Bowl ad. You've had ads for other things in the past, but there were other trailers and stuff. There was a couple of commercials that were Ant-Man Quantumania based for Heineken and for other things. I just thought it was a good night to be a fan of niche fandom, to be a fan of pop culture, because even most of the commercials were references to something else. And this year, and it bears it out, the Super Bowl had 113 million viewers. Estimated 113 million, which makes it the highest viewed Super Bowl in 6 years. 6 years. Which is something to be said. There's something to be said for that. I think that there's people coming back to it because of these pop culture references, right? It's the first time we get to see some of these trailers was during the game. And it wasn't like other brands, right? They weren't like other brands where they put their ads on YouTube a week ago. Those trailers dropped during the game. So that's something, and I think it's worth pointing out. Jay, I know you're back there. Did you get to watch any of the game? Did you have a favorite ad?
I am not a sports ball person, but I was also at work last night. So
Jay's answer is no.
No, but I did watch the Flash and Guardians trailers.
I didn't see the Guardians trailer.
Yeah.
I actually walked out of my Super Bowl party, walked out of the room with the TV every time one of those ads would come up. Every time a trailer or something would pop on. Because I didn't want to see them.
Yeah.
So I didn't get to see it, but I did. It's kind of hard to ignore the Michael Keaton Batman stuff because the internet's full of it today.
Yes.
But it's an interesting thing to look at, right? Because growing up, we never would have had ads for these kind of movies during the Super Bowl. We just never would have. What's up, Kenneth? So everybody, feel free to chime in. Favorite Super Bowl ad, least favorite Super Bowl ad. Jay, you need to go over to YouTube and watch Super Bowl ads.
Yeah.
It's a whole thing. John Travolta, Donald Faison, and Zach Braff doing a parody of Summer Lovin' about T-Mobile's home internet, which ironically is what we use here in the studio of The Experience, T-Mobile 5G home internet. Shout out, $50 a month, not even a sponsored ad. That was pretty great. So like I said, it's interesting to see what people thought, what people think they were good. Yeah, there's an article on Variety, Super Bowl ad review, celebrities flock to big game, but creativity didn't always follow. True. I think there was an ad for Chevrolet and Netflix, split an ad essentially, where Will Ferrell is just inserting himself a la Uatu the Watcher into a bunch of different Netflix shows. I don't know. It was weird. So, like I said, I'm interested to hear what people thought, if they watched at all, if they cared. What people thought of the ads last night. When we come back, we're going to talk about an interesting story as it relates to Black Panther 2. But before we go to break, our first break, which is coming up here in a second, I want to tell you guys about a couple of different things. One, Wednesday night, 9:00. We have a new show starting. 360 Comics will be joining us here in The Experience Wednesday night at 9:00. 360 Comics is a comic book influencer. They've got a huge Instagram following, a pretty good YouTube page, and they do wraparound coverage of pop culture stuff. So they try and look at all the angles and see the whole picture as to what's happening as it relates to pop culture. They'll be joining us Wednesdays at 9 starting this Wednesday, which is super cool. And we have a new show starting a week from Wednesday featuring Chuck Pino, who you may know as the person who makes Henri's writing readable. They would both agree with that if I said it to their faces, so I'm going to keep saying it. But Chuck will be doing an interview / game show. So you're going to want to tune in for that because you can win fabulous prizes. His first guest is Pat Shand. So that will be super fun and exciting on Wednesday evenings. So we're gonna take our first break. It's a little early, but we're gonna take it anyway. We're gonna take our first break, and when we come back, we're gonna talk about an interesting story, as it relates to Black Panther: Wakanda Forever, as more and more people are seeing it as it hits streaming. So we'll be right back in just a second.
You just finished the last episode of your favorite news show, and you just have to talk about it. But all your friends are ghosting you because of that incident last week at the buffet. Oh, you know the one. What you did to that chowder. Ugh. Keeps me up at night. So what do? Join writer Dan Wickline as he breaks down all your favorite pop culture media. Whether it's a review of the latest nerdy TV show or a dive back into the history of your favorite comic characters, Dan's ready to discuss all the hottest topics live. Join the conversation as Dan live streams Tuesday through Thursday at 5 Eastern, 2 Pacific on Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, and Facebook. The Dan Wickline Show, on The Experience, Comic Culture and Sales.
You know how when you go to Comic-Con, after Comic-Con, you go to the hotel bar, and there's a whole bunch of people playing music and dancing, and you've got Pikachu and Lara Croft Tomb Raider doing the cha-cha slide just down from Deadpool and Batman and Wonder Woman? That's every Saturday night over on the Experience Twitch channel. Join Taji Beats for the EXP Dance Party, exclusively on Twitch, twitch.tv/the_EXP. Why was Princess Zelda sad after watching a bunch of YouTube videos? She couldn't find the link in the description. We'll stop if you subscribe to our YouTube channel. It's super easy. Click subscribe and click the bell when you do. And thanks for supporting the EXP. What's up, everybody? Welcome back. This is Hot Takes. I'm producer Kyle. And I want to remind you guys, tomorrow at 5 Eastern, 2 Pacific, the Dan Wickline Show. Dan will be here to talk about pop culture news and events. I don't know what he's talking about. I don't know if I'm even supposed to be on the air with him tomorrow. Sometimes I am, sometimes I'm not. I don't know. But then Wednesday, we'll be talking about the last 3 episodes of Vox Machina. And wrapping up this season of The Legend of Vox Machina on Wednesday. Tomorrow night at 6 o'clock Eastern, 3 o'clock Pacific. Jay, Sean, I think this is a Sean week off. I don't remember. Jay, myself, and Dan will be breaking down 10 great comic books that are in stores this week, including Cherish from Dynamite, which is a book that I forgot existed. White Savior #2 from Dark Horse. Masters of the Universe. More Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Mosley #2, and Dahlia in the Dark #3. So be on the lookout for that. All right, guys. Sean will be back for a few weeks. Okay, I couldn't remember if this was the last week he was going to be on, or if it was last week that was his last week. Anyway. I want to get your opinions on this. 567-318-6507. 567-318-6507. The French are angry. Wasn't aware that was something that could happen to the French, but the French are angry about Black Panther 2: Wakanda Forever for its deceptive representation of the country's military. That's right. The actual French government are actually weighing in on Wakanda Forever. Because, apparently unlike they don't have stuff to do, I guess. I don't know. Black Panther, per Politico, France's Minister of the Armed Forces, Sébastien Lecornu, took to Twitter to air his grievances with the film. I strongly condemn this false and deceptive representation of our armed forces, wrote Lecornu in a translated tweet. I am thanking and honoring the 58 French soldiers who died defending Mali at its request in the face of Islamist terrorist groups. The message was accompanied with a video of Wakanda Forever depicting the scene where the Dormalage escort a collection of French soldiers and present them to the United Nations. Okay. So the French are mad that their army, which we'll get into the French army, I suppose, was defeated by the single greatest fighting force ever created in fiction. Like, let's take this apart a little bit, right? The French army is a real thing, or so they would have you to believe. But the Dora Milaje are not. Is it so hard to believe that your army would lose to a fictitious group of super soldiers from a country with superior weapons than anyone on the world and this big invisible shield thing that protects them? Like, you can't follow the unfathomability of that, the French. I mean, we'll talk about how your army has surrendered without ever having been attacked in the past, and like how if you really need help from someone French, call the people of Montreal, because those people will fight anyone. But the French army is angry that in a movie, in a fictitious place, a fictitious army beat their army. Now, there's a journalist, Jean Bexon, shared the video and noted that the French army prisoners in this scene look vaguely like soldiers that took place in the operation that the French minister of the armed forces referenced. So maybe the problem is with the wardrobe. But to me, this just comes off as we don't know how to not take ourselves seriously. Ha ha. Right? I mean, does anybody else see the irony in this, that a group of fictitious super soldiers beat the French army and the French are now actually angry about it? And they're not angry about the actual times the French army has been actually beat? No? Does anybody remember Pierre Escargot? It's the only thing I think of when I think of French people. It's Kenan Thompson in a bathtub. So I'd throw that out there. We have a little bit of DC news, as it were. Again, we got the trailer for Flashpoint, and we got to see Michael Keaton's Batman. We got to see the Batmobile from the Tim Burton film. And that's really all I know about the trailer. But that gives me enough to start to kind of form some connections, right? We know from James Gunn that movie, anything after that movie counts, right? That movie is resetting the universe. Here's my question. That movie has a Supergirl. It has a whole lot of people in that movie that are relevant. Are those actors going to continue on? We don't know. But after seeing the photos and the screen grabs, I really like the look of their Supergirl. And the reason I'm bringing it up is there a place in your TJ James coming in a little bit late here on this one. In all fairness, if you're a member of the French military, isn't that insult enough? Yes, TJ James, it is. Although I'm told the French military get bread and cheese every day, which is like all I need to be happy. Just saying. No, is there room to reinvent, restart, re-up one of these existing CW shows featuring a new actor? And I keep sticking my hands in the camera. This is something I do, and we'll talk about the discoloration here in a minute. But what do you guys think? We got a new Supergirl. Should we get a new Supergirl show on CW? If they introduce a new Green Arrow, Can we get a new Green Arrow show without what's his face, who's doing the wrestling show now? If we eventually get a new Flash that's not either guy, it's not Grant Gustin or Ezra Miller, can we do a new Flash show? What if we bring back Sherlock? Can we make it work then? In my opinion, I know his name is Stephen Amell, Jay. I was making a point. It's why I didn't call Tom, whose name I'm going to forget now. It's why I didn't call the other guys by their names. The idea is that the actor's irrelevant. I think we need to bring these shows back with these new actors. I really do. I think we need to spend time getting to know them the way we've gotten to know previous versions of these characters as portrayed by certain actors. I think, excuse me. I think it's interesting to think about what could be done with a cohesive. No, they didn't see TJ. What they could do with more of a cohesive universe. What they could do with, okay, this is your guy, go follow him. Warner Brothers didn't sell CW, but what they did do was they reformatted their relationship with it, as it were. And it has a lot to do with the new requirements on the producer on those shows, and I can't remember his name now. I keep wanting to say Donald Belisario, but that's NCIS. So they reconfigured it, and it's not the same level, right, TJ? So you're like half right on that one. Warner still gets to play with CW, but not as much. I think here's a wild prediction. If AEW doesn't sell its TV rights to someone other than Warner or Turner, I think AEW winds up someplace like CW. Just throwing it out there. All right. So we need this conducive universe, this one through line, one actor for the whole universe, to really kind of understand the actual role these characters are going to play, right? It's why if an actor voices a character or plays a character in a movie, they want them to also be on television. They want them to also voice video games. They want them to also do animation. Because now you have one point of contact for each of these characters. Who is your Captain America? Are you a Chris Evans Captain America, or are you a Reb Brown Captain America? Or are you someone else? Who's your Spider-Man? Right? Everybody has their guy. That's their point of contact on these characters. So if DC gives you only the one option, does that make the connection stronger, do you think? I think it does. I think it gives you this place to go and say, all right, this is my guy. And this is what I want to see from this show. This is how I expect this show to go. There's this other part to this story that I think is wildly interesting, which is to say that we're now seeing these announcements played out so much more in public. It used to be that you had to get the trade magazines to read who the director was on this thing, who the writer was on this thing, who was going to play this character. And now all of this stuff is getting played out in the public, and people are getting more knowledge than they've ever had before, to the point where James Gunn may have just teased the Swamp Thing in Creature Commandos. James Gunn is already setting this up. Whoever is going to play Swamp Thing is going to be the voice of Swamp Thing in Creature Commandos. Which comes out first, we don't know for sure. But the DC Comics Twitter account was promoting free-to-read Valentine's Day special Young Monsters in Love #1, which was a great book. The comic is an anthology of several shorts involving romance on DC's more supernatural side. The cover shows Swamp Thing kissing the bride of Frankenstein while her horrified husband looks on. Well, we saw that Frankenstein's monster was going to be in Creature Commandos. So is it possible?
Imagine being at a convention and going to an interview panel that's just for you. No bustling crowds, no hours-long lines, just you, the moderator, and your favorite comic book creators. Well, this is pretty much that. Miss Jen sits down every week with 2 comic book creators for a live stream interview about their latest work, and you can ask them whatever you want. It's Talking Shop, Mondays at 5 Eastern on The Experience, Comic Culture and Sales. Comic Collectibles is a pretty straightforward show. You got Rex here, he sells the comics, and you got Rockin' Robbie, he knows about the comics. And finally, John, well, no one really knows what John does. I mean, don't get me wrong, he's a great guy, but he just keeps showing up. Come to think of it, I don't even really know how he gets in here. Anyway, awesome comics, rare books, rarer signatures, slabbed books, and amazing cover sketches by Ken Hazer and others. Simple formula, you want the comics, you buy the comics. To sum up, Rex sells the comics, Robbie knows the comics, and John, who might possibly be a ghost. I mean, seriously, has anyone ever seen him show up or leave? Comic Collectibles with Rex and John, Mondays from 6 to 8 Eastern on The Experience, Comic Culture and Sales. Did you know that across America there are over 2, maybe even 3 live stream producers who can't even afford Mountain Dew? Take Brian here. Brian has gone 2 weeks without a sip of Red Bull. If it goes on much longer, he may take a shower and get a real job. Situations like this are as tragic as they are preventable. Join The Experience on YouTube and gain access to special emojis and members-only streams. For less than a cup of coffee, you can keep socially awkward hermit people working from their parents' basements where they belong. Scan the QR code on the screen to join. You'll be glad you did.
I'm back. This after I gave T-Mobile a nice plug earlier. My internet went out. What are you going to do? Anyway, we were talking about the Creature Commandos. And so we've got some clarification on what the Creature Commandos are going to be and some of the things they're going to tease and set up with Creature Commandos. So Creature Commandos have typically included a werewolf, a vampire, a Frankenstein-esque monster, and then other things they add to it. So when DC Studios announced the animated show, they revealed the lineup would include DC's version of Frankenstein, but the heroic version, not the bad guy. Well, kind of anti-hero, I suppose, if you think about it. But it's the heroic version of Frankenstein, the bride of Frankenstein, the amphibian Dr. Nina Mazursky, Dr. Phosphorus, G.I. Robot, and Weasel from the Suicide Squad. The team will be led by Richard Flagg Sr., the father of Rick Flag, who was played by Joel Kinnaman in both Suicide Squad movies. So here's the thing. And then Jay, get ready. We're gonna wrap up early because my internet is not gonna come back and my phone is not gonna hold out. So we're gonna hit this and wrap it up. I think what we need to see from the DC Cinematic Universe to be successful is one cohesive line, one cohesive story across the board, one actor for every character, one director for every character, one writer for every character, straight across the line, and do it over and over and over and over and over again. I think that's the only way you're going to live down the Zack Snyder people. It's the only way you're going to live down the, well, historically they've sucked. Yes, they have. But the only way we're going to move past it is to just keep going over and over and over again with these characters. So that was what I wanted to talk about. I'm sorry nobody got to call in tonight. We are ending early because I'm having internet connectivity issues. In fact, my internet's timed out again. So we're going to, I need to reset the whole office. We will talk to everybody tomorrow here on The Experience for the Dan Wickline Show and Talking Shop and all the other shows that are coming tomorrow. We'll see everybody next time. Join the party. Head over to our link tree to find all the links for everywhere The Experience is all the time.